I'm trying this again. Testing. Welcome to the show. Finally, Bass and Bonsai. Been in this house for a whole day waiting for this internet, or I don't even know what happened. My phone would not let me get this video going, this live stream. So here we are. I know I had to open a couple of things up. Didn't wait for you guys. But basically, ran up to Rogers Sporting Goods and to Bass Pro in one little swoop yesterday and picked up a few more things that I absolutely did not need. But that's how we do it here at Bass and Bonsai, right? So let's talk about it. Picked up I know I don't need any more chatterbaits, but the little mini max, and I want to get this bluegill color because I also want to get this one. And Charles has a couple of these for me, also the elites. But I wanted to talk about the elites real quick with you guys. I know it's brand new in the package. I haven't opened it yet, sort of. So I picked up 2 chatterbaits. That's all I picked up as far as chatterbaits go. So we got the Z-Man Elite and the little mini max, and 3/8 ounce in both of them. So I just wanted to show you guys in comparison. Now people keep talking about that's a huge difference. The mini max is not like hugely way smaller. It's not like having a micro or the actual mini if you downsize them right. Now if you take off some of the skirt and were to run just to whatever, but the hook size is way different. So I was going to show you guys that. And then I'm going to talk about real quick, and then we're going to go the rest of the unboxing. What I guess makes this elite better in my opinion than the Z-Man Originals. So there is the huge difference. So like for me, and you know, you try to catch the biggest fish possible on the smallest stuff, you can definitely set a hook better with one of these little, and they come in a 1/4, 3/8, or even a 1/2 ounce. But you can that hook will be better to, as far as if you remember to, you know, pull into it, like you kind of sweep around. If you're going to yank, you got to wait till that rod loads up, and hopefully this should be opened up. Now if that sucker's got lockjaw and you pull however far and you yank real hard, it's still a possibility. And the smaller the hook, honestly, in my opinion, the more of a possibility of it popping out. That's why the Z-Man Originals, and then this is an Elite. Now they claim this has a Gamakatsu hook. It says right somewhere in the packaging. Yeah, with the 5/0 Gamakatsu. So I will still swear by this statement that I'm going to make right now on the Z-Man Original, because it's still a big, huge gaff of a hook. And probably even more so than this Gamakatsu, the 5/0. With the traditional chatterbait blade, the bigger the hook is in the back, the better chances of getting the fish in no matter what action a rod you have, as long as it's a powerful enough rod for the bigger ones. The Z-Man Original and this Elite. The jackhammer's just a little bit fine. You can get by with a slightly lesser rod with like I still feel with these you can use almost like what a lot of people, almost like a jig rod, but you can't just do a jig hook set. You got to sweep into it. But yeah, the more parabolic or forgiving the rod, the better. And honestly, especially with chatterbaits, because you probably aren't going to get that blade's going to interfere with how fast that hook gets up in there by the roof of their mouth, so it'll probably be coming further and further out. So anyway, we're going to try these and try, which I know this will work. Charles, this is the color. I could not track it down. Charles would pop up out of nowhere and a lot of times catch a, uh-oh, brew tank. Brew tank, I'm doing a live stream. Get on there. So everybody's messaging me now. I'm doing a live stream. My phone's working. I can do it. The thing I like about the Elites over the Z-Man Original is because they do come with a, you see there, $6.99. So instead of $4.99, it's a couple dollars more. You're basically paying $1 for what a lot of you will argue is the better hook. Some of you may be like, no, it's not. But then also for a hand-tied skirt. That skirt, well, I don't know about hand-tied, but it's tied on. Now, I used to not like this, but let me explain why. And some of you that follow the channel will know why you like this better, or I like it better than Z-Man Original. Those perfect skirts, that they kind of what I call balloon out, or like an umbrella, right? So they umbrella out to a certain point. They only collapse so far, and they're not as streamlined. Once you hand tie, and actually even less, just enough skirting to, you know, have a substance there, in my opinion, is the best, because that bait, it'll let that bait almost in a sense kind of hunt around. So that's why I like that better. And then these mini maxes are good about that. Now you can get them, if you remember right, I bought some minis in a 1/4 ounce that are, in my opinion, if you're on a budget especially, you're going to be able to do the same amount with those as what you can with this. It's just this is already, everything's kind of done for you. Those you need to basically hand tie the thing yourself and do away with that rubber band, because that band material is, if you set it in your box long enough, will liable to eat up anyway. So I am now a fan of, if you're on a budget, on a regular size chatterbait, if you want Z-Man, the AliExpress knockoffs, if you guys know about those, they're only like $2.50, $3. That's still like the budget. But if you want to stick with Z-Man, like in my opinion, what's the best bang for the buck Z-Man is probably this dude right here, the Chatterbait Elites. 3/8, ½ ounce, and call it a day. Or you get the AliExpress knockoffs, or if you're a die-hard jackhammer user, you can get those. They do work. The Mini Max, and I'm sure this will work. It's just, it's built a little better, but it's just like what we're already been using, the smaller chatterbaits. It's nothing new to the channel, right? We've been using those for the last few years now. I don't know, a while. Heck, maybe 3 or 4 years that I've been like using them, and mainly using them naked for a few. So I picked up another, this is a Hack Attack flipping fluoro, but this one, that is almost too much of a gaff of a hook for me, but I'm going to get by with it. I'm going to kind of use this, like I've kind of been using these anyway, as kind of like a swim jig. I'm probably going to put a regular swim bait on it, but then I'm also going to put probably oh shoot, already, the Baby Rage Menace. White one on there, and fish it like that also, kind of on bottom jigging it, but then you can kind of swim it and them tails will flap. Try a few different things, but I got a white one there. If you remember right, I got some of the little bitsy bug white ones, so I've got basically from an 1/8 up to this honking monster in kind of like jigs. I can use kind of an all-purpose. I can swim them, I can, you know, you can do a lot of different things with the jig. Doesn't have to say swim jig on the box to swim it around. It just doesn't have to. It can, and maybe if you're getting through certain things, maybe it's better. What do I want to talk about next? While we're on this kind of stuff, and I don't remember which came from where, I'm trying to kind of up my spinnerbait game. If you guys remember right, let me show you my spinnerbaits. My spinnerbaits, and I hardly ever use them. I need to, this year, we're going to try to, it's going to be hard to fish with everything I've been buying, but we're going to try to squeeze it all in. Uh-oh, Eddie's in there. Eddie says I can't ever have too many chatterbaits. True story. Picked up some slobber knocker. I know the knockoffs do work. I've ever tried to... Yeah, the customs. Yeah, that's the one I used to preach, because it was... But here's what I feel about the customs. I think the customs, the hook is too... because the custom has a regular size blade, but the hook is shorter. So I feel it, in my opinion, it's almost too close. I don't know. It's probably just doesn't matter, but for the price... But I'm just saying for now, and the way I do like the fact that it slimlines them. But there's nobody saying that you can't just go buy Z-Man originals, or if you already have the originals, what I would do is get skirts. You can pick up skirts fairly cheap with the banding material. Put those on and then hand tie them yourself. Would also be a very cheap option if you already have, you know, a handful or the originals. But if you're like me and you're kind of going for lighter tackle, lighter rods things, then actually the jackhammer knockoffs, or the 3/8 ounce ones, are even a better option, because they even have a smaller hook. Or these little, These little dudes right here, even though they're more expensive, they're like a perfect option for that. You want to throw a chatterbait, but you want to get that, you know, I imagine like that medium heavy plus I've been looking at, or several, you know, stouter medium action rods, as long as they've got a little give once the, you know, the tip, a little bit softer tip, but then they kind of go into backbone, but are still, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to explain. But if you've ever felt like the medium pluses in the X Pride, or the, that's kind of why I'm wanting to buy the Poison Adrena. They kind of have that where they've got a kind of a double action to them. They claim almost all of your P5 Megabass rods do also, the Destroyer lineup. All right, so spinnerbaits. Can't have too many of these, right? Considering that I hardly ever throw any of this spinnerbait box that is full. So I've kind of got a two-part deal. I know I need to pick up my spinnerbait game, because I'll be honest, if there's one thing that you guys caught on, I kind of started doing again, I kind of get away from baits. You know, we all do that. I'm sure we do. We kind of drift away from baits that we know that work. We find something else that's cooler that we like throwing, and it's working too, so we just stop throwing the other, and then the bite gets tough, and then we just don't jump back into it. So it's kind of what I'm doing with my little day box thing, and with you know, we jump back in. I started throwing jigs more last year, and it paid off. They work. You throw the jig, right? I even talked about getting a tattoo on my hand that said "throw the jig" to remind me. Well, what is better than a spinnerbait is basically a chatterbait is a bladed jig. A spinnerbait is also a bladed jig. So there's actually two things I'm thinking about doing. Duckett makes like a spinnerbait with multiple. It's kind of like a little mini A-rig thing, because I hate throwing an A-rig. I'll be honest. Those are horrible. But like a little miniature version of spinnerbaits, I've seen Duckett has them, and actually I spotted a video on the hookup tackle. It's expensive. I don't know if I'll buy one or two or not, but you can buy like a little double blade thing that you can clip on any of your favorite spinnerbaits. I guess I started talking about it. Let me explain it. So if you go to hookup tackle, I think it's called the Blade. Just search the Blade. So it's basically just a double pronged and a couple blades out here, and it just clips on. It's like a twisted, like the old spinnerbaits. I don't even know if I've got a spinnerbait twisted like that nowadays. That thing's twisted around a little different, but kind of just like the old spinnerbaits used to have the twist right here. It's kind of twisted like that, so that part comes over here, and it kind of clips on, and you can put like a little, like keeper, like if you guys see me put rubber bands or something to keep the snaps from sliding down. It's kind of the same similar thing. But then you've just got a dual little blades that go, and they run just under, like right out here. So you create even more of a little, you know, mini school of fish that they claim that at times can get them to hit. So I'm thinking about getting that. But what I'm going to try to throw emphasis on is slow rolling spinnerbaits. You hear a lot of guys talking about now downsizing, which I've done the last few years when I do throw a spinnerbait. Most of these are all downsized spinnerbaits. But what I want to start doing, and I'll show you, first of all, a bait that I thought I had 4 of these. Did I only get 3? Maybe missing one. Yeah, I'm missing. Oh, here it is. The War Eagle. So, now, what I first went, and what gave me the idea, 2 things. I'm like, it is really, in my opinion, it is easier to slow roll a spinnerbait. Like, you throw it out, let it hit bottom, and then it doesn't matter if it's 2 foot of water, 6 foot of water, 10 foot of water. You're just going to slow roll it, maybe every once in a while making contact with the bottom, and you're working the spinnerbait slow. I know the whole burning spinnerbaits and all that and going fast is another thing. There's like multiple ways in spinner. That's why there's so many different spinnerbaits. But there's kind of an art that most people never get, or it's a lost art kind of thing. But I think over this season, or, you know, if everybody and their brother starts back on the spinnerbaits, it'll be one of those things like some baits come and go just because everybody and their brother's throwing them. So, Brew Tank just mentioned me take the Bantam off my hands. That is music to my ears if you want to buy that, because here, I'm going to explain later what I'm getting ready to do. Let me get this unboxing going. You guys you know how easy I get sidetracked. But so bottom bouncing, in my mind, I'm like, I want black and blue chatterbait And that is about the closest you can get to a black and blue chatterbait and a spinnerbait, in my opinion. Big old thumping, making noise blade in black and blue. And who makes a better spinnerbait than War Eagle? Nobody. Nobody. Just so you guys know that right now. High dollar mega bass. I'm thinking about buying a couple of those, but trust me right now when I tell you that nobody in this world makes a better one than these guys right here. Now, is this the best one? I have no clue. This will be the first time I've ever thrown one that big, 3/4 ounce with just that big of a blade, but I'm going to get that one to give it a shot. And my old buddies, Booyah, right? They make the hard knocker, so they can't go wrong. And you know, the answer to the question, yes, you can get a Booyah. Just so you guys know, you can still get Booyahs. So I bought this dude because they had a 1/2 ounce in the War Eagle, this color, but not a 3/4. And why am I going 3/4? Because I want to be able to get down there, but I still want to be able to move. Because I'm talking deeper water, like shallow. I can kind of slow roll a chatterbait. I'm guessing 4 foot maybe is somewhere my cutoff. I mean, you can do it in 6 foot, but I'm talking about where you're just turning it. You can still feel that blade chatter on a jackhammer. I don't care whatever you use. Some baits, and I know I could go heavier, but I'm not a fan of going like that. It's hard to explain. But so this spinnerbait, that color is definitely a good color. I already know that color is a good color. That Booyah should be money. But then this one came from Rogers. I was up there, and oh, Hack Attack, right? We got the fluorescent fluoro, and then Hack Attack's got a heavy cover, 3/4 ounce in chartreuse and white. And this bait right here, I bet if I took my time, I could catch my personal best bass by throwing this thing out and just letting it set for like 5 minutes, and then picking it back up, and then moving to a spot. Because it's a spinnerbait, something like this in a 1/2 ounce, that for the longest time had my personal best. My God, this packaging. I don't remember the brand. It was probably the MEPS or one of those that had the twist in it. But I had thrown that thing out there, backlash, and after picking the backlash out, picked it up, and it had a very big fish. We guessed it over 7 pounds, 7.5 possibly. And I caught that same fish later on in the year on a chatterbait, chartreuse and white chatterbait. And it was one of those old looking fish, you know, when you catch a big one that looks real old and kind of head's all starting to get crusty, I guess you could call it. So this bait, I should be able to throw out without anything. I mean, I could put a little chunk of something if I decided to, but that thing's got a big old heavy head, 3/4 ounce, gold bladed willow. Throw that baby out and just slow roll it. And although he didn't win back-to-back classics, I had to get one of these. Booyah with the Hildebrandt blades and Covert series. I think this is like the 2nd generation. Jason Christie. I think I've watched a video of his where he's talking about like he personally designed this bait. Did he or not? I don't know. You guys call him the man a liar? I know some of them, they'll throw their name on guys and stuff, and then other guys actually do go in and put a lot of time into developing a spinnerbait the way they want it. But this one just spoke to me in the colors, right? It's just that big bait. And the trick to this one, they claim, is like the sides. See how they're cut out? Kind of has the... I think you're actually designed to run this thing. So it's designed, I think, see how one side's flat? That side's flat, and that side has a cut. Now, I think that is to counter this blade is going to spin one way, the way it's put on here. And so it would want to make it turn, and so that creates a drag that keeps it so you can come faster. Even though I'm going to be slower, I may be wanting to, you know, run this thing fast and be in a, you know, it's just one of those baits that if I feel I like this one or how it works, I haven't even tried it yet. They do make them a lot smaller, and these are supposed, I've got the bigger versions, but they're supposed to be a compact. It is not very compact. Like, let's just show you the little baits from, that is a real little one from Z-Man. These bigger 3/4 ounce, they may be compact for a normal 3/4 ounce, but for the little smaller ones, they are nowhere near a compact spinnerbait. But I'm going to try to pick up my spinnerbait game. These aren't the last spinnerbaits I'm going to buy. None of them will fit in my box. If you guys look and count those little notches, every one of them is already full before I started this little spinnerbait adventure. So what am I going to do? You know me, probably just toss them in there. I may toss those all in my day box, and just so I don't forget about them. I haven't figured that part out yet. So let's go to something else. Because, oh, before we jump to something else, the two that have caught my eye, and I had some at Rogers, they didn't really have the exact color I wanted, but the Mega Bass makes two different versions of, they've made spinnerbaits over the years, but they make two different versions right now, like a more compact, slow one, which they've got one in 3/4 ounce that looks sort of like that Christie one, similar. Not really, but let's just say it does. So I'm thinking about, these you're talking, those were, how much were those baits? Now the Christie one was like almost $10, but the Booyah and all you really need, in all honesty, is go jump on Tackle Warehouse and look up the War Eagles and just live in War Eagle spinnerbaits probably, or even the Strike Kings. Those they get a little more expensive once they get fancy. That one was $7.99 for the Hack Attack one. I don't know if that thing would focus. Or I'll be honest, there's cheap house spinnerbaits. You find one the size you want, but spinnerbaits, in my opinion, if you're gonna go down that rabbit hole, you need little light ones, big heavy ones, little heavy ones. Like you need, it doesn't really matter what brand. Colors are pretty simple, like a dark color, and then a white, and then a white and chartreuse. And preferably, like my dark colors, I like with that dark with the black with the green, just some little hint of chartreuse or something. And you could always add a little something on trailer. You can always add a little trailer here or there. You get solid black or solid black and blue spinnerbaits, solid black. Put a black and blue some sort of trailer. Put a little chartreusey trailer. Put a whatever green pumpkin one. Add a little chartreuse on the tail. Change it up that way if you want. All kinds of stuff. So I also picked up, I was going to buy a bunch of different ones, but I just picked up one of Rogers, because I don't even know how their plastic is until I get it out and try it. It is garlic scented, but they have these suckers in all different sizes. Now these are different than all the others because they kind of are flat. I don't know if that's going to be a good or bad thing. I don't know if it'll help them, what it'll do to roll or whatever. But you get 24 I'm going to put that up. That thing stinks, man. It makes me want to go eat Italian. But for $8, you get 24 of the 3 and 7/8, 3.75, right? 3 1/4. So you get 24 for $8. That is pretty cheap, but we'll just see how long they stay on. So I was going to give you guys some comparison. They are the exact same size as the what do they call it? 9.52 centimeters. The Rage Swimmers, and then I also have a Guggenbait in here. Now they don't make the Rogers, the closest, that is what they call bluegill, and that was the closest color I could find to what my favorite color. These are probably my couple favorite colors. So here is one of the Guggenbaits in Electric Shad. It just kind of has that bluish, whitish bluish tinted belly with that blue glitter, that and the kind of green back. But that's the 3 or 3.3, and then this is actual Strike Kings. I forget what they call this, but it's basically whitish belly with just that, I forget the name of this color, with just that kind of gray top. That is a good color in fairly clear water. And then that is the Rogers one. So these are more natural, and this is a blingy natural one, but I think that color should be good. The only downside is, that's why I'm going to stick some in these blister packs, is when you get them in bundles like this, a lot of times the tails will be jinky and whatever. But if you have old ones of these, roughly the same, and you can put, like I put the 3.3, it will fit in the bigger ones to kind of help straighten or hold the tails out. Because usually get them out where it's a little warm or something, you know, room temperature, a lot of times the tails will straighten right back out. But they, if you guys are interested, you can. I mean, you can call an order from Rogers or whatever. They have several colors in a 275, 375, and 475. They don't have a like a fork. Keytech has a 4.3 that is kind of in between that. But I'm just going to try this, and they also have a bunch of other something that kind of looks like a baby or a Rage Menace, baby Rage Menace mix. It kind of, and I might like those, but I'm just gonna try this and see how, you know, how many casts can I get, how many fish before it just falls off. If it's like one of those every dink it's getting knocked off, then it's really not worth that. But we'll find out how durable the plastic is. Until I know, then we'll know. Because I also have Big A's that I need to get a hold of and get some different plastic from him for this season. But yeah, so we got a lot of stuff going on. Let me read the comments and then we'll get to more. Tilapia looking color. Yeah, I considered it's like it's one of those colors, in my opinion. It could be anything. It's got a bluegilly, you know, anytime you add like a darker greenish color with some blue, and it, you know, could be bluegill. Just a bait. I think it's a good color. We'll find out. I don't know if I've ever seen the exact color. Probably has. Somebody probably makes it. I'm sure they copied some color. But it looks like it should catch fish. Charles, be ready for tomorrow. Yeah, Eddie, Charles and his fire tiger. The funny thing about Charles, I know you guys have heard this before. Everybody's talking now. Yeah, chicken fried steak. Charles and his, and Eddie, Charles and his fire tiger spinnerbaits was the ones. Oh my God! Now he catching fish right and left, but man, them blades were falling off every other fish. I don't know which brand he was using, but that's one thing I'll say. And we're not talking about it right now, but on some of the higher end JDM ones, you don't have the option of switching out this, because a lot of those, they have the spot welded. Charles, this may be for you. If you look up, go to Hookup Tackle and look at his spinnerbaits they're selling, almost all of those are going to be welded. So if they got a fire tiger color, you probably want to buy one or two of those, because you will not lose the blade. That thing had to break off. All right, so let's finish kind of strong. I've been going and looking at this bait, and I've heard, and I've actually fished these several years back, but a Stacy 90. So Lucky Craft, Stacy 90, that's a color, Elegy Bone. I don't know who invented it first, Lucky Craft or Mega Bass or somebody else, but they call it Bone Pro Blue. And this color is the most copied color I've probably seen anywhere. Once you've spotted this color, almost every bait made that's hard bait is a copy of this. From high-end branded ones to the knockoffs, everybody's got this color. I'm still waiting for it to come in Tackle Warehouse. They've got the LV500 in this color that I'm going to get, if I ever get a chance to. But for years, I've heard about this. I want to say the first person I heard talk about was Gary Dobbins. Dobbins Rods, talking about it, and because they had a rod, I don't even know if they still do or not, but it was dedicated basically for throwing these guys, Stacy 90s. He kept talking it up. I think it was one of the Champion XPs or something. So anyway, while we're on that, I know I've got like 12 coming from AliExpress, and they should be here. Probably not going to make it for this weekend's fishing, but by next weekend it shows they're in the States somewhere. But then, and I know Brew Tank will fill me on this, and probably most of you guys if you watch Tactical Bass, and they made me spend some more money. Speaking of that color, I kept hearing Matt Allen forever talk about the Jackal rerange, and since I was debating on the Jackal rod at some point, I just started thinking Jackal baits, and of course Rogers had these in. I think they're maybe cheaper than anywhere. $14.99. So this color spoke to me, and it is one that so I'm going to see if you guys recognize a very, and that's not the same, but it is a very similar color. Now it is a total different color, but they're very close. Now they call it Secret Shad 2. So it has more purple. If you guys remember the Vision 110 Junior Plus 1 that I was tearing up on, it had that purple, like this one does too. It's got that purple haze up top, but not necessarily come down the side. This bait basically is the same bait color, that the purple just goes down more along the side. But these are supposed to just have a, they flash more than what a lot of your other jerkbaits do, right? I have that bait. Charles, what bait? You ain't got that bait. You thought you had that bait. That Tree Pounder's got that bait. You just don't know it yet. Wait till tomorrow. And then this color is the first one that I thought of whenever I heard that these are, you know, they roll and have flash, because it's got that foil side. And this is just a good looking color. And so they call that HL Hasu. Focus. So anyway, you got those to add to what is now an insane amount of jerkbaits, considering they don't bite a jerkbait year round. Or do they? Can I go out every time I'm in that cooler, clear water, right? Maybe it's a cool morning, temperatures dropped maybe a little more than they normally would, and you're in a clear water body of water. Maybe we can always find a jerkbait bite. Just like a chatterbait bite, right? Lastly, I feel like I'm missing a bait or two, but we talked about the heck. So lastly, I just couldn't pass. This little dude was like, this guy, it's like, you guys ever gone, you know, to the dog pound, and you just have that little puppy's like just looking at you, and you can't leave the pound without picking up the puppy. So that's what we did with the Bling 55. Now I first looked at this bait. I originally thought just like the Spro Little John, right? And it's made out of balsa, and so I thought this guy, I think the Spro is, maybe it's not, maybe it's just made to imitate, but this guy is 100% not, because they've got one up there that's fairly clear. That color didn't speak to me. It stayed at the pound. But you guys know this color. This year, well, whenever I started really getting into the, probably 2 or 3 years now, the Booyah Hard Knocker and that Toledo Gold color, any of them that resemble a Toledo Gold color, they speak to me. And I know, this little dude's got a face that only a mother could love. Like, seriously? They got the eyes a little off. But this little bait got the rattles that I like. Rattles. It's smaller than the Little John. I don't know what it'll do. You guys comment if you've ever actually fished these and how good or bad they are, how well they get. What I'm curious to know is how well it gets through cover. You know, is it one that I need to keep away from the wood, or can I throw it right through the wood, or whatever? I'm almost positive it's going to catch fish. It may not, though. We got too many. Now we officially have too many jerkbaits, too many chatterbaits, too many spinnerbaits, too many square bills for sure. Probably have as many square bills as we do chatterbaits. Maybe not. And we don't have too many swim baits yet. We have too many craw trailers. We have too much everything. But you guys comment if they make them or not still, because I was trying to look at, where did they go? Oh, I think they're in my day box. But I was trying to look at the, I don't even know where I'm going to go with this guy, but the Norman Bates thin end, because I got a couple, and I was like, well, let's see if they got what colors they have. You know, it's been years since I bought any. I've had those two for several years, and they're not on Tackle Warehouse anymore. So this little dude is actually a good little fish catcher here. So we've got very different sizes. We've got pretty little to a little bit bigger. If you guys are wondering what size the Bling is, let's get a, These are my smaller baits. These are the 1.5s. So here's the baits that I picked up at Rogers. They're little house bait. So it's about that size, but skinny. If you guys haven't watched the video, I caught a carp with that Rogers bait. Now I snagged it, but it counts. So then let's just go with the Strike King. That's not Strike King. Lucky Craft 1.5. So it's kind of right in line, you know, a flat-sided like 1.5 side roughish, roughly. Guessing by the shape of the bill, it should go, I'm guessing, fairly deep. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going to put it. Oh, right there. Perfect. It's already put up. Should put it in my day box just to try. Jerkbait box is not full, but by the time we get done, it will be full. So we've got, and we just put the higher end ones in their same spots, somewhere in there. I guess I should pull him out. I've got this guy that so far I'm just not impressed with. Those are my knockoff house brand ones. So you guys already saw where I picked up, yeah. These are the house brand knockoffs we already picked up at Rogers. So I don't even really need all the ones, the 10 or 12 that are coming from AliExpress, but I kind of wanted the good higher end ones to compare with the cheaper ones, and then, you know, get my jerkbait game going, and then I'll know if like I don't even need, you know, is there a true difference? You know, just like the Z-Man original and a jackhammer. Do you absolutely need a jackhammer to catch more fish? In my opinion, 100% no. But there's certain times, certain things, just like I'm finding out with the rattle traps. Not all rattle traps are created equal, but there's times when if there's a rattle trap bite going, a rattle trap will work. Doesn't really matter who makes it, but size kind of thing comes into play. Jerkbaits are kind of like that. There's a bunch of different ones. There's a Vision 110 is the standard, but then there's like the rerange, and then the deeper ones, the Stacy 90 or the Vision, the 110 plus 1, plus 2 come into play. But then they also make like the several other, you know, smaller or bigger size comes into play and all that kind of stuff. Like to truly have a jerk bait or rip bait game going, variety is a spice of life, and a spice of way more bites over the guy just throwing one jerk bait and calling it good because it's the best one they make, no matter which one it is. If you're throwing one type of jerk bait, I can promise you that you think that's the one, you're missing the boat there. Same thing with the chatterbait. If you're like, because I've done it for years, you know, half-ounce Z-Man Originals, and I had a few different colors, but that's just what I threw, half-ounce. And there'd be days like, oh, they're not hitting that, and I'd go to spinnerbait, go to this and that. But I believe if you can get them going and change up, same thing we're going to try to do with spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, square bills, jerkbaits, jigs, swim jigs, everything, right? This is the year, or years, right? We're on a mission. We're on a mission to buy more baits than we can possibly. Uh-oh, it's windy. That just had a little flash of the power. Charles, what bait do you have? So anyway, we're going fish. This is the only one I didn't open. Now you're going to need a different... that staple dug into me just like a Gamakatsu hook. I bet you Gamakatsu, they must make staples. That little jig right there. I don't know if you guys can tell on these, if you guys are familiar with jigs or not. My jig box is over out of the way. But I like these because they're streamlined. Just kind of like I said, I like these chatterbaits. I feel when I've put on that, especially like a Baby Rage Menace, whether it be on a chatterbait or on one of these, the ability for that thing to, you know, just be bouncing along bottom, but then if you take off and you give it movement, it just lets it freeze it up more to get that, what I feel is like a reaction bite off of a jig, off a chatterbait. I don't know. So I really like these. That there's enough skirt to, you know, have a presence, kind of give you the thing, and you could always change it up. You just put a big old, you know, plastic on there, and you go back to whatever. But then for moving and whatever kind of stuff. So anyway, this will be the third or fourth one I'm trying on this, the fluorescent fluoro hack attack jigs. I think I've got the black and blue one, kind of the greenish colored one. Man, that wind is something else. This little dude with that gold blade, and I don't know why, because I've got Guggenbaits this color, a couple that just suck for me. I don't know why. The the buzzbait basically is the same thing. It's got a gold blade and it's got that bluegilly type thing. And that one, of all the buzzbaits, I feel sucks the most. But I've witnessed Charles with this exact color. Now, he doesn't beat me with chatterbaits, but I've watched Charles catch the first fish with this dude. It's like this color will fire him up. Then the old black and blue jumps in there and steals the show. Right, Charles? You know the deal, Charles. Black and blue. When all else fails, go black and blue. If black and blue ain't working, go to something else, because black and blue, there's days where I can't get them to hit nothing black and blue. But when it's on, it's on. It's kind of like a jabberjaw, right? So, let's talk about, we're done with baits for now. We're never done with baits, but for this video, we're done. 40 some minutes, that's all we need. Charles has a new casting rod and a Cast King reel. Charles, we don't like Cast King reels. Do you remember the Zephyr? What is wrong with you? Now, the Zephyr, overall, good reel, but not for the Zephyr rod. The rod, in my opinion, is a way. I still have a Zephyr rod over here. The reel, in all honesty, is a letdown for true, like, ultralight BFS, which that's what the rod is for. The reel is a good all-around. Like, it's really, if you only want to buy United States stuff, it's it and the Corrado BFS, about the only BFS reels you can get that are, you know, affordable. So anyway, while I was up at Rogers, I was looking at the Poison Adrena Jackal, 6'11", medium plus, right? Well, I figured if that one will work, why wouldn't a duckett 6'10", medium power, also work? Well, this rod actually does feel pretty good. And I was looking at these at Bass Pro. Then Rogers, I found they just had one left, and it was $59 from $99. I'm like, is that price right? He said, yeah. I'm like, well, let me buy it. Charles, do you want to buy this rod? I guarantee it'll smoke your cash in. Now, this is a good rod. I couldn't pass it up. For that price, they do feel good. I've been debating over, I don't know how long, about buying one of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it rigged up, fish it tomorrow with this handle assembly. But if I don't like that handle assembly, I've got the one off the Lure Star. I may use just the reel seat and then put a different actual handle. Probably I've got still have a cork handle also. So I may swap that out. And if I do that, what I'll do is I'll come in here with the Dremel and pliers, and I'll painstakingly, just be careful basically. I won't, you get cutting into this, game over, then it'll weaken it, and you could literally snap it anywhere on a hook set or, you know, whatever. So, but as long as you're careful, and I'm not saving any of this, and you just kind of cut in there enough, usually you can get it chewed up enough and off, and then you scrape off the glue kind of thing, and then sand it down, and then put on the other handle. The other handle, if you have one that's already on a rod, old rod that you've broken or whatever, it's kind of the opposite, reverse type deal. You can do what it takes to hone out and clean out the insides of the old rod, and then you basically just build the handle assembly like you would if you were building a new rod. It sounds kind of complicated, and it can be, but if you have a Dremel tool and a little bit of will, there ain't nothing you can't do. So we're going to try that, and it does have a good action, and I like it. The Duckett rods for years, it's got one of those cheaper guides that but they're like bulletproof guides. They're cheap, just like stainless, whatever, but it should be fine. But if Charles catches me before I tear into it and he wanted to buy it, I would sell it for $60. That's just what I gave for it. But it's a good rod, but I don't really need it, but I couldn't pass it up. Because I still may, and I didn't even know this while I was up there. I called them, and then I just don't know what reel I would want from up there. But basically, at Rogers Sporting Goods, if you buy a reel and a rod, like the combo type deal, they'll knock 20% off the rod. So I could get 20% off the Poison Adrena if I find a reel up there that I want. And the one I'm thinking about isn't even going to go on that rod, but I've been debating because you can't find a cheap Corrado DC reel. Like the ones you can go to Digitaka, it's still going to cost you about as much as what they sell at Rogers or Tackle Warehouse, wherever, on the 150s. And the 200 is even bigger. And if you ever wondered, like, what's the difference if you're talking Corrado now, the DC Corrado, the 200 is a wider reel than the 150. They didn't just squeeze in a, bigger spool in the same reel. The as far as looking at them side by side, because I've owned these also. I've owned the 200K. I've owned the Corrado BFS. I had the Scorpion MGL. I had the Corrado DC. But I was up at Rogers, had them out looking at them the other day. I don't remember when it was. But we had a 150 and the 200 Corrado DCs out, and clearly wider. It's a wider reel. Same height, same overall look. It just holds, that little more line over the 150. But me, a guy that fishes braid, the 150 is clearly the one you would want over the 200. But if you guys, heavier line, still running fluoro, or mono, even maybe if you're throwing bigger type that you just want mono on it, then the 200 I guess is going to be the more popular one. I guess they're still planning on keeping them both. They're selling them side by side, right? And then so I'm debating about buying that reel. Here's the thing, here's what I might do. I haven't decided yet. I'll buy that reel, put on my 7-foot medium moderate. I'm going to leave the crazy HLC stees that I've kind of got buyer's remorse at the moment, but I still, it works. It's just one of those reels you can't be asleep when you're using it. If you're asleep using that reel, you're going to backlash. It's not going to be a horrible one though. It's just going to catch itself like halfway through the cast, and you're going to have to shoot, and then reel back in, and that sucks when you're out fishing, especially if you just you see a perfect spot and Charles or Matt's just ready to cast right there, but you beat them to it, but then you backlash because you weren't paying attention to your reel. That kind of thing. It's not as carefree and innocent as a Daiwa SV reel. That HLC, non-SV, any kind of real good magnetic braking system. It's more freed up. It's good as long as you know what you're doing. It's good, but otherwise. So that's staying on a 6'9" medium heavy. The Zillion 10 that should be here also next week, I think it's going to go on one of those NRX knockoff rods, a 610 medium heavy. I think that's going to be my, as long as I like that rod, the Zillion 10 is going to go on there. That's going to be my like smaller flippy pitchy stuff. I'll have to see. I don't know if that rod will be capable enough to set hooks like this on this bait, but that, if it's anything like these purple rods were, the contest rods, the medium is more like a medium heavy. The one that's when I sold Matt. The medium light is more like a true medium that I have for my jerk baits, and more like honestly it's more like a medium plus. So if the medium heavy is probably going to feel more like to me a heavy, and it'll be perfect for like this, all my type of finesse, from a finesse jig to whatever. And so that Zillion 10 with a high speed will be what I'm wanting for that kind of stuff. Whether I'm swimming a jig, because I can, when I'm moving something and I'm paying attention and I'm wanting to like creep it or go slow, I actually like being able to have a high speed reel that I'm just creeping. The minute I get like in a 6-3-1 or 7-1, I feel like I'm always doing this. I'm always going faster to keep the bait up off something, or especially with a lot of different stuff. So that's just how I work. I know a lot of guys say it's the opposite. They feel like it forces you to slow down and you do better. I feel and that's why I try to use baits that I can feel what's going on, and I feel like I can stay in tuned and know when to give it a little snap or something, and I can do that better with a high-speed reel. So anyway, that's what that one's going for. So that would basically mean I'm going to clear up. I put the Corrado DC on the 7-foot medium moderate. That would clear up my Steez Limited to go on if I get the Jackal Poison Adrenum. And then that will be my all around. That medium plus, I think it, honestly, if I know it would be fine because it kind of has a secondary load also. I think it would be good enough for any of these bigger, or like the Vision 110 plus one if I get a couple of those, or maybe not the Stacy 90. That's actually a fairly small bait. But some of the, it could be touching in on the jerkbaits possibly, but just for a lot of different stuff. It's like a mid all around feel is what it had to me, kind of like what I could use the if it wasn't, it's kind of short. It's a 6'8", medium light is good for jerkbaits, but it's almost too short for a few other things. That 6'8" that I shorten the handle down a little bit, so it's good for jerkbaits. Kind of takes away from a few other things it'd be good for. But I may do that, or I may just go up there and do a whole bunch of other different stuff. You never know what I'm going to do. Charles, you need another rod. Salamandura would look good on the Duckett. Yeah, I would, Charles. Speak up. I'm getting a Dremel out. Now, this is a good rod. I don't know if you guys have ever felt the Duckett Silverado rods that even for $100 when they'd go on sale here and there for like $79 whenever places were having sales. I've almost bought one. I don't know how many times. The thing is, it says medium. Let me try to look here. I don't even think it gives you a rating other than that. It just says 6'10" power medium. But I can tell you right now, and Charles knows what I'm talking about, this medium feels way... It feels like a very stiff parabolic... It honestly does feel in between. Like I've been feeling a lot of those medium plus rods. It feels like it's stiffer than a medium, and but not the overall rod because it does bend so far down. Like I'll try to show you guys. So here, that's the main first guide, and there's a second one. So it's got a little bend right there. But then if you go from the second, and there's a third, and here's a fourth. Like that is not, I think that's where they give it the medium rating. So it's kind of got that stiffer tip than what, in my opinion, what a medium should have on the tip. But then the whole rod does flex, probably what you would almost be used to a medium doing. So honestly, it probably would be good for jerkbaits. It just has that feel like it would work for jerkbaits. So that's my intention to try it, and if it feels as good or better than my other one, then I may skip all the other higher end ones or whatever. Because this one I got the contest, 6'8" medium light, that's more like a medium. It's probably a touch softer than the Duckett. Is kind of almost perfect, really. Yeah, they've got almost every type of Duckett up at Rogers. I love the old school Duckets. The old, until I started fishing braid to leader, and then I hated the Duckets. That was around the time, if you guys remember the first original Duckett, like do you guys know the Duckett story? Like, Boyd Duckett, oh man, when's the last time you guys heard carrot sticks? Do you guys remember the orange carrot sticks? Boyd Duckett was sponsored, I believe it was Boyd Duckett, sponsored by Carrot Sticks, right? And the Carrot Sticks rods, and I think he more or less took whatever technology they were using and started making his own rods. But the Carrot Sticks rods were actually, I had a couple of those. I had the black. It was actually a pretty good rod. But the first kind of series of the Duckett, they were all white with a bunch of red. And I've got them in my videos when I'm fishing the MG Extreme and the MG Extreme 2 on them, I think. The Abu Garcias matched up real good with the way the Duckets were made back then. But they had the cork handle and the bigger, this back here was all cork. and I want to say those were Micro Magics or whatever, the original ones. But man, those rods did. I liked those rods. And they had very, very small micro guides. Like, I want to say you could honestly go to a certain thickness of straight line. Like fluorocarbon, it would only handle so thick a line before that would, like, be hard to get through the guides. So if you were running, 15, 17 pound test with a leader, there's no way it would not go through the first, like, any of them. It wouldn't go through the guide, so you could not run a leader. And so I stopped. I think I gave one away. My cousin actually won that. I gave away in one when I used to give away stuff, brew tank. I gave away the duckett rod with the first, not the MG Extreme 2, but the MG Extreme Abu Garcia and the duckett rod in a giveaway. And of course, my lucky ass cousin Duke is who won. I'm sure somebody thought it was rigged, but it wasn't. I told everybody, still, like, right now, I'd probably include, if I did any kind of drawing contest, I would put whoever in it, whether it be, some of you guys that I always talk to, you're eligible for it. Charles is eligible, Matt, whoever. If it's a true, anybody can enter. And all it was I took all these names that everybody, like, if I started it in this video right here, I would say, if you comment, I will, take your name down right now, wrote on a little piece of paper, put them in a thing, rolled it, spun it around. Noah reached in and grabbed, I believe it was Noah, yeah. And he picked Duke's name. I did that with the bonsai too. I gave Maggie Rezak, who used to be on here all the time talking when I was doing bonsai. She won a whole toolkit. Like, I spent a lot of money in that first year of Bass and Bonsai, and it did not help one bit, in my opinion, get more subscribers. They just slowly trickling in, like you guys have seen. Jay's seen it. They just, 50, 60 every 28 days, just slow and steady. Some are dropping off. Like, you can watch it. Some will drop off. Some will come back and forth, and it's just steadily growing. We're pushing up there now. We're not far away from 9,000. It wasn't too long ago we had 8,000. Brew Tank, where you been? You've been messaging me. I'm like, dude. Well, the Bantam is not going to come with this handle. The Bantam will come with the stock handle. I've kind of been playing with it, debating about keeping it. So let me get the Bantam stuff. Brew Tank wants to see the Bantam. So here's the Bantam with, I just put this on it. So what I tell you, $215 shipped. If I have to ship it, $15 more. But this handle is coming off. The stock handle, which I should have in this package. That's what comes with it for that price. Now, if you wanted to contact the crazy lady, so stock handle, stock drag star, come with it. Now, I'll leave on, if you really want the drag star, I'll leave it, but the handle is coming back off. That's sentimental value. That's the only connection I have with crazy Lou's lady. I have a bond with her now. I don't know her name, so I call her Crazy Lou's lady. But if you really want to look, there's somewhere, I think this has a slight, I think it's just in the finish of it. There's like a slight little something there. It probably won't come out. But it's got like one little scratch, but then the rest of that is just the way that's made. It's kind of got a haze to it. And then I want to say there's a scuff somewhere else, but I can't see it now. Trust me, it's as close to new looking as you're going to get on one that, however long, what's this, 2018 or whatever. So it's a good looking working, and it has a drag clicker added. Like, you track down, just the drag star was what, 20? Clicker 15, somebody putting it in. Like, I think I gave $215 for it, shipped to me. So it's one of those deals. If it sells for $215, I'll sell it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Might need that cherry on top. You ain't gonna get it for $215. I can tell you that right now. That's an expensive cherry. Now, if you wanted where is it at? I will throw in, since I have them and I don't even have a use for them, And you'd have to put whatever kind of knobs you could track down. This is a 95 millimeter carbon fiber handle. I have like 3 of them. I'll throw in that handle. You have to go track down whatever kind of knobs for you today. I could put that in the box, put the regular handle on it, and then at some point in time you could order your own set of AliExpress knobs, whatever kind they may be. Oh my God, I would recommend if you got a cork handled rod to put them on, order you up a set of those or something, put on that, or just put it on a stock one. The stock handle looks good with just a good set of knobs on it too. I just put this on to see if I could make myself like this handle assembly on a reel, and it actually does look good on that. So anyway, are we done talking? Let me know if you want that or not. I still have the Calcutta Conquest that needs to go bye-bye. And I don't know if I want to go full on. I'm going to do a video. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it now because we're already an hour in. I'm going to talk about, I'm probably going to do it, I'll face this at my computer screen, and we'll go on, whether it be AliExpress, we'll go on probably Digitaka and Tackle Warehouse, and I'll go through my list of what rods, reels, or if I was building a arsenal out of one brand, what would I use if I was piecing together the best of the best and that kind of stuff. Maybe just spend like an hour one day, since all my videos are like an hour, just going through and showing you guys what I would what would be a cool option, or budget option, the cheapest way to go, or the most bougie expensive way to go, which would be all Steez and Megabass. Actually, Steez rods, Steez and Steez reels is about the most expensive way to go, other than if you go with St. Croix. I think, is St. Croix, no, maybe still Shimano with the Loomis, the Conquest, whatever, makes the most expensive rods. Those rods are insane. And just for the record, even if you see me spending $500 for a Megabass rod, there's no rod in this world worth probably $400 or over to go catch fish. It is too easy to go out there with this duckett $59 rod, I'm telling you right now. The Silverado series, really, you could buy it. They've sold several different styles, or any of them really for that matter. The Shimano SLX are good rods. The Corrados are good rods. And honestly, if I were probably like what is out there that is a perfect matched combos that I highly recommend, even though I have not even used them, just because they are Shimano, that Corrado series, in all the reels they have out now and all the rods, if you guys go to Tackle Warehouse, click under the Corrado, they also have a glass side and then the regular side, but there's so many. Like, they've got the full spectrum of whatever rod you would want. Even I think a 610 light, I think. So that's going to be kind of that, bass BFS, like a power BFS. It's not going to ultralight. We're not doing any ultralight. If you want ultralight, you got to go with the X Pride. They do make a couple X Pride BFS. Like they make one ultralight, but it's 2-piece. So with the Corrado BFS, the Corrado 70, which is basically the BFS with a different spool and different magnet system, but then you can go with the Corrado 150. Then they make the Corrado K, of course, or the Corrado DCs. You got 2 different options there. Is that all the Corrados? They make a bunch of Corrados. But so you could, basically buy 5 or 6 different Corrado reels. You kind of got that same kind of look with the green, and then all of the lineup of the Corrado rods. The Corrado rods, I just can't, they have the same exact reel seat as a Bantam or as the Adrenas, but it is not soft touch. It just feels slicker to the touch than what the soft touch does. And it's really not even so much that it's a soft touch, it just feels grippier, is why I like I need the soft touch. And you guys comment, one of you guys has to be some sort of chemical engineer or something. There's got to be something that you could buy and put on a reel seat or any surface that makes it not sticky but tacky, like soft touch, like gives it just a little more. I know for years they made this little you could dip it like a rubber. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that just gives it that. If any of you guys have the soft touched reel seats, know what I'm talking about. That just makes it, you know, just that much better. Like once you've had a few rods that have that, it's hard to like not. The only for whatever reason, I guess because of some of the ones like the Luz and these carbon lights that have the, oh shoot, what am I looking for here? The wind grip type material, that stuff feels very good too. But then the reel seat, for whatever reason on the carbon light, it's not soft touch, but it doesn't feel slick. Some plastic just naturally has some, especially your cheaper stuff like this Duckett one here. It's just that plastic feels slick. It just has a, you know, hard slick feel to it. Doesn't look horrible, you know. They've even put the little Duckett name in there. But that's kind of why I also like the 13 Fishing, that fake black. It's a good looking rod. It has a soft touch and it's contoured just right. That's a good filling rod also. Leathery feel, yeah, something like that. It's sort of. Might need that cherry on top. So brew tank, what are you telling me? You want this with the stock handle and a single lifestyle handle, is what you're telling me? So you don't want this one. You don't want this. You want, hang on, let's you guys witness brew tank so he can't back out. If you see him on the comments, say he wants it. Because we got a lot of options. I, for a split second, debated about going back to single lifestyle stuff, and I'm like, nah, that's just a whole nother. How about that flat one? If you wanna run, if you got a Corrado rod, slap that baby on there. That's that one. Charles likes that thing. I don't. Well, let's see. I don't think I got a metal one with anything on it. I've got, let's see. I got that. I'm not going through switching them all around. So I got a carbon fiber. I believe that's 80 millimeter though, with that cork on it. That took me a lot of time to make that. I got just a standard metal one. That's 85 millimeters. It would probably need maybe even need resanded and then rebuffed. It's been wobbling around in there. These others are going to Charles for sure. You can't touch these. I'm just going to show them to you. These are already kind of promised to Charles. There's the matching deal with the one metal. If he wants to put it on the Abu. Hang on, I'm looking. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I'll do one time only. Are you listening? Pay attention. I'm going to make this one-time offer and one time only. So I'm going to take, this handle's not going for sure. Take this back out of the equation. Actually, I'm going to, yeah, take, so this reel got the drag clicker, going to come with the drag star, stock handle, stock, drag star, and then I'll throw in but I'm upping the price. Now hang on, listen to this. 2 metal ones, so you got the same matching. Now these will take Daiwa style, but then I'll throw in 2, and these are, I believe these take the Abu Garcia style. But so 250 bucks, so another 35 bucks. And you'll have plenty of single lifestyle. Jesus, how many of these I got? One, two, three. That'll leave me like 5 for Charles. And I'll throw in this dude. So 5. Yeah, but it's not going for the price. This handle is staying with me. It just hasn't found a home yet on which one of my reels. I don't know yet. It's 5 millimeters longer than I actually like, but it just does feel good when you're out there using it. Like, it just feels good for cranking stuff. So that's probably at some point I'll find something that I like it on, but I can't let it go. It's already got sentimental value. All right, I got to get out of here, guys. Brew Tank, he's him hawing around. Yeah, cork seal. Yeah, I did actually a couple videos on it. U40 cork seal. I actually recommend it if you want, even on a cheap cork handle, even the ones you can tell is fake. That UV40 cork seal stuff does help. It kind of darkens it up just a hair. That's why a lot of guys, I don't like that stuff. But if you're the type that you're going to want that thing to last, the cork to last as long as it can and look as good as it can, it'll slightly change the color. You can go look up my video. That's actually, I did it with one of the, because I think I had 2 of the duckett rods. I did it with one, and then I compared them like after I let it dry overnight or something. But yeah, UV cork seal, bass and bonsai, you'll find that video, and if you want to see the difference. I just don't do it because I feel I don't need to. Like every month or 2, I'll like take mine and I do like I just kind of clean my cork, and then another year I get rid of the rods. So if you're like, I'm keeping this thing forever and I want it to last, the UV40 cork seals, I recommend it, and it's easy to apply. You basically just, almost like if you were going to apply any kind of oil to something, and then you basically just put a coat on. It's not really an oil, but it's kind of like that. You put like a coat on, and it's not real horribly messy, and you kind of let it soak in, and then you wipe off the excess. So you don't need to like go crazy with it. You just put it on to where it's wet, and just kind of make sure it's kind of even, and then you can just tell, like, as it's starting to dry, then you just kind of wipe off the excess. It's hard to explain, but once you've done one, then it's not hard to put on the UV40 cork seal. The trick is only put on as much as you need so you don't waste it, because it's not the cheapest stuff in the world. It's not that expensive, but especially if you got 6, 8, 10 rods. I don't know how much that jar lasts, but I only did like a couple different rods, and I went, yeah, it's okay. But I'm just not that guy that has my rod. Like I've said, I've mentioned several 100,000 times, I'm not a collector. I use it. When I'm done, it's going bye-bye. Most all my rods at some point are going bye-bye within a year or 2. That's why, same thing with reels. I've yet to have one that just, I'm like, let's keep it forever. I mean, I've got a few. Not many. Well, Brew Tank went to sleep. two older G Loomis rods, yeah, I would recommend to go ahead and put it on those. Like, do you guys know how to clean cork, right? Like you want to use a fine grit. Like you may even look up like what somebody recommends from a different form or something. If you guys know of any of those places like Rod and Reel Builders, what they like to finish their cork with, what grit sandpaper. And it does not hurt, I don't care how old it is, to put just a light, usually some kind of wet sanding, 800 to 1,000, somewhere in that area, maybe 600, just depends. But basically, you can clean any old cork, can be cleaned right up to look close to new, and then once that's dried, then apply the cork seal. So if you got an older rod, you definitely want to clean it, because if you put the cork seal on, whatever is under there stays for, like, it's there, it's permanent. So if it's as clean as you want it to be, then apply it. But if it's not, give it a good cleaning and then put the UV40 cork seal on. Yeah, and then like Eddie commented, a lot of guys, and that's what you really want to do. Like the minute you buy one, say whether it be used or new, if you buy a new one, just put it on. You still kind of need to clean those. Those kind of will have that dusting on them. They actually look better than they are. That's kind of why they do that. You ever notice that you like peel the stuff off, and the first time you wipe them down and they get wet, instantly it gets that blacker, little spot, little stuff. Anyway, but you want to kind of clean that off, or if you got an older rod, give it a little quick cleaning with sometimes even just not a true, don't try to scrub it with the scouring pad, but like one of those little the green, I forget the name's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't say what I want to say. But just lightly with that, if you don't have sandpaper or you don't want to sand it. But usually just a little bit of soap and water will take gunk right off of a cork handle on a rod. And I don't know why I see so many people that will fish and fish and fish and never clean their cork. I mean, I get it. I guess if it's a tool and that's all it is. Like, but I guess I do have OCDs. Like, I would drive myself nuts. I clean the wind grip material. Like, I just, after every so many fishing outings, I'm cleaning stuff. I'll clean, if I feel like these have gotten dirty, I'll clean those. I don't know. I understand. But back when I had tools, I cleaned my tools too, I worked on cars for several years here and there. And yeah, I can't stand when something looks too gunky, it gets on my nerves. I don't care if it's meant to be that way. Unless it's like a rat rod type look. Where'd Eddie go? We're going to get out of here, Eddie. Not Eddie, sorry. Where'd Brew Tank go? Yeah, XYZ says 800 and up to keep the smooth finish. Yeah, Scotch pad, duh. Anyway, yeah, use one of those. And one jack. No, I ain't giving away no jackhammers. You heard the price, right? Yeah, I'd totally spaced off the magic eraser. Like if they're real nasty, you probably want something a little over that, or just to give them a resanding. Doesn't hurt. Occasionally, you don't want to do it like every month, then you end up with a little bitty old round handle. But magic eraser will do wonders on a lot of different stuff. Uh, I would always just use my little Scotch-Brite, those green, because I had those. I use them in RC stuff, and I always have them laying around, just like one of those with some soap on it, and just kind of just get it all wet first. And if you have the time, let it set like for a little while wet, kind of loosen stuff up, but then just kind of scrub it almost like you were washing your hands. Don't like scrub your hands with Scotch-Brite, but like say if you've got some gunk in there, like if you've ever worked with greasy parts and stuff and you just need to just kind of lightly clean it, and it's pretty good. But there's nothing like the feel of like when you take that, say, 800 grit sandpaper, if you've got an old rod, and you just kind of, you're refinishing is what you're doing, and you just lightly sand the whole thing, it's like new. And then cork seal it, and then it'll stay. It'll feel, it does change it. It doesn't give it a rubbery feel, but it changes away from a true, 800 or 1,000 grit sanded cork. That is the only fill you can get is by doing that. 800 grit on new, freshly sanded gives you that fill. UV40 cork seal, it just slightly changes that, but it still feels great. Still feels good. I think in my opinion, it makes the cork look a little better because cork normally, fresh new cork, looks too light in my opinion. For most rods it's on, they're darker, and the UV cork seal I thought made it look just a little better. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. So Eddie, let's get this deal going. Like I like 5 deals out here. Like I bet you I could offer these to guys for $10 a piece, and somebody would be out there jumping on it. So that'd be like added $50 on what was going to be 215. I'm only asked for another $35. Come on now. This guy's bound and determined to get a jackhammer from me. All right, I'm gonna offer one more jackhammer. You guys heard it. If Eddie, read these comments. Eddie, sorry Eddie, I keep calling you. I got you guys crossed. Brew tank. Eddie wants no part of that reel or jackhammers. Where are my chatterbaits? Let's pick out. He insists on a jackhammer. And I only know of one that I'm willing to get rid of, and he won't like it, but he's going to take it or leave it. Here's the magic. It's right there on top, too. Now, you said a jackhammer. You didn't mention how old. And I'm just going to tell you, I'll throw this in because I want you to fish it and catch a fish. Now, it's had some changes over the last year or so. There it is. Z-Man and Evergreen, that is a true, let me just show you, jackhammer. If you guys don't know the difference, got the good hook. Look at that. Still, oh man, that thing is very sharp. So this is a jackhammer brew tank. I'm going to try to show you. I think it still has the, let me see if I can see it. Yeah. You guys see that? Oh my God. Hang on. Do you guys see where it says? Yeah, right there. 1/2 ounce jackhammer. It's got a different skirt on it, but that's what you get. There you go. $15 value. Right? Trust me, and that's why I can't knock these baits. This dude has taken a beating. Caught I don't know how many fish, and I don't sharpen like on the higher end stuff that you guys see me mess with the these knockoffs, $2 and $3. Sometimes you got to put that tip back down occasionally on just every once in a while. Like if I'm stuck on a stump and I yank and that kind of stuff, I'll get stupid. But that hook is crazy, like still sharp. Beat the heck. The jackhammers are legit as far as they're gonna last until you break them off. That's why I hate spending that much money, because guess who breaks off chatterbaits and all other kinds of baits from time to time. So there you go. Brew tank. You got my PayPal? Yeah, Eddie brings up a good point. Or you can just leave the plastic on your new cork, like the real test or new whatever handles, and never takes it off. I will tell you a quick story though. If I don't do that, because honestly you can't do that, because what happens if you go out and fish that thing, it just starts getting water or something gets in and around the sides, tops and bottoms, and it'll actually stain there. It could just be even like what you would see is not dirty water, but any kind of water gets on there and leaves a stain, and then where it's new. So if that starts looking weird, I'm just telling you, I've seen that happen too. Yeah. Where's Brew Tank at? Last comment he put was, let's read it. I'm going back here. He said, and one jack. And that's exactly what he got. One jackhammer. 5 single lifestyle handles. I'll leave these knobs on. I'm not giving you more. Just that there's 2 knobs. These were actually off of the Lou's custom light I cut down. So you're getting that. And you know what? I'll throw in. There's the other one that kind of matches. I cut them differently. One's cut down a little different. So the Lou's custom deals, I'll throw in that. I don't have a matching one to this dude. What's it gonna be? Where's he at? Where did he go? Brew Tank, come on. Get on the boat. You want me to switch it back for you? Because I gotta take my handle off. Let's just see in case. I need to switch this back anyway because this needs to get sold. I just haven't got around to listing anything on eBay. Alright, let's put on my working glasses. I'm telling you guys, AliExpress, like $2.50. This little thing right here is a wonderful little tool. Take that off. There's a little adapter if you guys, I'll even leave you with, if you don't have those. Do you have those for your any other Shimano's? I've got like a bunch of those. I don't even, after if I sell this and the other one, I won't have any Shimano's. Oh man, now I gotta hold this on while I take that off. I knew I did this backwards. Hang on, don't worry, I can do it. I can do it. Uh-oh, it's slipping. Get off of there. Why are you being so... complicated? Oh, get it straight. I guess I should ask you if you wanted that on or off, but I'm leaving that. Just like that. Let's see what she looks like after, and I guess I'll leave, this is, if you want to try it, I could leave the braid on it. It's, that's all, honestly, all I ever put on anyway. It's plenty enough. That is 20-pound Perberos camo. So back to almost stock. Got that aftermarket. Sorry, of course, you could always put the stock one back on if you want. Where's he at? Good luck. If you can't find it on eBay, it doesn't exist. the old Shimano. If I were to have any, it would be the old Corrado E's, or probably even the Chronarch E. But the Chronarch D, I would probably buy one of those just to have. I don't know if I'd fish it. It's kind of bulky, but anyway, where's Brew Tank at? I got the handle already switched off. Brew Tank's probably drinking Fireball. He's probably passed out now. He ain't buying nothing. That guy ain't buying nothing. I'm about ready to get out of here. Well, Brew Tank, you'll have to message me if you really want this or not. He sent me pictures and different stuff. I haven't looked on my phone, though. Okay, deal, you said, with the run over jack. Yeah, it's been run over by a big largemouth bass maybe 100 times. Now that's from just like what I talked about I'm going to do with these spinner. You know, kind of just getting it down and running it through the gunk. That's if you really wanted to get them to bite. Get her down there, run her through the junk. That old chatterbait. Still has a ton of fish catching in it. That's why I pulled them back out. I was gonna at one point I was gonna give them away. I was gonna sell them. I'm like, no, keep them. So I don't know if and when or whatever point, but I would rather. I don't know. I still think those elites are probably the better, especially for the money. Even at the price the elites are, you can get 2 of those for the price of 1 jackhammer, and I think you're going to end up. Let's compare the hooks, because the elites come with the 5/0 Gamakatsu also, right? So in all honesty, other than the paint job, you know, I do like the fact that this one's a darker. You know, the finish on it. I still think these are awesome baits, the elites. Don't get me wrong, awesome, these jackhammers. But the Z-Man originals, all the Z-Mans are awesome. The downside is the cheaper little Z-Mans. The quality control isn't quite as there as it is. I guess it doesn't have to be. The Z-Man original is almost like just a bulletproof one that they've been making for years, and it's a big stout enough everything. And a lot of guys claim that these snaps they change out, but I don't go crazy on my line or drag, you know. So I feel that, you know, that little hook, you know, even with 15-pound test, I don't feel like I'm gonna yank this out of yank the snap off or whatever. But then if you look like these on the elites and some of the other ones, some even the times the cheap ones I'll put them on, just have these twisted up things. It's not really a snap, and you know that's not going anywhere. All right, Brew Tank, you got my PayPal? Kick it to the mailbox. The Aldebaran, I told you it had resistance. That's why I sold it. And you guys can. This thing is like 10 times smoother sitting here than that Aldebaran, and it's a lot older reel. But that once you get out and using them, the Aldebaran's fine. Like I'm sure it is. I'm sure you use it, but it's I'm telling you, it's in that thing right there. All the newer Shimanos have a slight resistance feel if you know what to feel for, if you're paying attention. Every one of them that I've held, the ones I've did a little bench racing up at Rogers with, the ones I've owned. If that thing is black and plastic, there's like you can just feel it. That's got to be what it is. It's got to be that thing. This thing doesn't have it. This thing, the next in line to the Shimano Calcutta Conquest, is the craziest smooth reel I've ever felt. The next one would be the old Metanium I had, the 2013, 16, whatever they were, the bright, crazy silver one I had. It had some KTF stuff on it, or no, was it KTF stuff, the red stuff? That reel was crazy smooth too. But this reel is right there. And what's funny is this is a reel. I think they've kind of designed it that way. Like when you're reeling in something, it just pulls in easier than probably any reel I've used. It has like a like they got the Revo winch and different stuff, and they claim these newer, which the Steezes are good. Don't get me wrong. You can feel the power. They've got power, but this reel right here is kind of on another little next notch up, in my opinion. Like, so for like chatterbaits or, you know, moving type stuff, it definitely is an awesome reel. I just couldn't get over it palms better than any reel you'll feel, but the weight, it's a little bitty old reel, and you just feel that weight. It just kind of, I don't know. You guys know me, I'm picky. All right, Brew Tank. Do you still have my PayPal? Send me the money. 300. Now, I won't be able to ship this till I'm leaving first thing in the morning to go fishing with Charles, probably for the weekend. So Monday, after I get off work, I'll ship it out. And it's probably the cheapest ways, like priority. So you should have it before next weekend. And all this, let me get the stuff out that don't go. So you got a jackhammer. You got that. Right, that's all you need. That's all you need anyway. Oh, I'm gonna have to get a little Ziploc baggie, but I'm gonna throw 2 of those in a little Ziploc baggie just so you can try them. Since I'm sending you something, you can just see what you think of the Rogers plastic. Then you can, if you decided you like it, you could jump on there and order you something. I got like 24, and I'm sure if I like them, I'll go buy another thing of that color in 24, and then all the other styles and colors I like just to have them. All right, guys, that's it. We're out. Deal done. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I thought I liked this one better, but when I'm looking at them and feeling them in person, honestly, the new one, almost like I talked about the soft touch, this feels slicker than the new finish. And if I got it tracked down another one, I think I would go with the newer one just because of that. Not that this one feels slick or anything. It's hard to explain. I can't make myself like the new Metanium enough to order one of those, or I would think about trying one of those, because if this reel was as light as, you know, even a Steez A or the Metanium is or whatever, I would probably keep it to put, I would get that Poison Adrenaline and put it on. It would actually go good on the Poison Adrenaline too. This reel goes good. Everything you put this reel on, it just feels good. It's like, oh, it feels good. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to message Brew Tank, make sure he's got my PayPal email address, get this payment done, get this thing packaged up. I got to hurry up. That garlic smells nasty. I got to find a baggie. Baggie. Until next time, get out, go bass some bonsai, but whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it.